Welcome to the AFMN Radio broadcast, a production of the Artisan Fiber Mill Network, the voice that cultivates and strengthens the evolving fiber mill industry around the globe. Each episode is designed to give you access to tools, resources, education, and connections to help your business. We welcome your comments and insights for future content in the comments down below. For those who are interested in learning more about our organization, please visit artisanfibermillnetwork.com/membership. That's artisanfibermillnetwork.com/membership. Now here's your host, Terry Stramba.
And they're going to tell us all about the Lindsay wool Are you officially brokers or wool company? How do you go exactly?
I'd say we identify as wool merchants.
Wool merchants.
Yeah, that's the original sort of long recognized, historic description of what we do. Because we don't just broker wool. We're looking out our window here. We have 10,000 pounds of inventory ready to go.
Wow. Very impressive. And I know I read a little bit up on you guys, and I've been doing business with you for a little bit. You've got a long history in this business. So why don't you tell us a little about what RH Lindsay does?
Sure. So we currently we are providers of wool and other fibers to consumers primarily in the United States. The majority of our customers are what we refer to as handcraft. So those in the fiber art space or folks making different kinds of fiber products for crafts.
And we even, we come from a history of being further up the textile chain in terms of selling to mills and, larger commercial operations. And so we still do that to some degree. We distribute it to the New England mill trade. And so my grandfather started right out of the Navy and worked his way up, got a big break, in his mid-30s, and got a wool buying job for this place called Barry Wool Combing in Barry, Mass. That's when we set up the RH Lindsay company, because we had the buying contract for a mill that used 7 million pounds a year. So in today's world, that's about a third of the wool that's used in the United States. In those days, it was part of 300 or 400 million pounds being used. So, but my granddad knew in 1936 he was going to gross $140,000, and he had a great time with it. So in the mid-50s, my father had been trained in the wool trade. He kept trying to find ways to get out of it, but didn't have any luck. And when Barry shut down, my grandfather retired, and my father took over. And one ability he had was he was probably one of the best people anywhere at evaluating raw wool and telling you what the fiber potential is in terms of yield and micron and what you're going to get for a final product. In fact, he traveled around the whole country for 40 years buying wool at different wool sales, and he knew every fur dealer and seed dealer in the upper Midwest or junk dealer who might be buying wool too. And he also organized growers. We organized a lot of pools, so we could just we could singularly value your wool, and then he had a mix to be able to sell it at a final price to our to the ultimate customer. So the guys who grew better wool were getting better prices, and the guys that weren't growing such great wool were not getting so much. But then in the 70s, my brother was supposed to get in the wool business, but he got lucky because double knits came in, and it was sort of a real challenging stretch. And so he got into real estate instead. So he's done very well, although he's been our longest term employee or associate, having been with us in the early 60s sometime. And for the one reason we're still here today is when sort of the whole contraction of the wool industry in the late 90s came in the United States, he had our little warehouse down in Philadelphia where we kept shipping our handcraft wool. So we never forsook ourselves, even though when wool consumption went from 190 to 50 million pounds in 4 years, it was sort of a huge challenge on, a company that was set up to sell volume.
Yeah.
We were selling 5 or 10 million pounds of wool a year. We were just making pennies.
Yeah.
So during that time, though, I trained in New Zealand and hooked up with this guy at a wool scouring plant called Mike Hasty, and he started a little craft business. When I got home, he was just starting off, and I said to my dad, "Oh, I want to get in the craft business." He says, "Oh, we're already selling." We actually already were, because there was a big store out in California, Strong to Gold, and we would sell them little mini lots of stuff that my father would find back east, because there was a lot of activity, so there's a lot of little things that be left over that you could, outlet off into the trade. So we started that. I bought some wool from New Zealand, brought it in. We had no idea what was going to happen. Within a couple of days, somebody from the local Waldorf showed up and started buying wool from us, and we started figuring it out from there. To develop a whole line. Mike Hasty grew into one of the biggest exporters of craft wool from New Zealand. But as happens with most businesses in New Zealand, eventually they over succeed and crash and burn. So we continued. Our whole 20 series was based on the original thing that Mike had developed from New Zealand wools, but we're right now doing it with local product. And I don't know, when the internet came along, we got really lucky, and I ran into a guy who was starting a web building business, and we hired him and set up a website. And about an hour later, somebody lived about a mile from me, made an order. Could have done just as well putting up signs in the T as buying a website. And they're still a customer of ours, probably 15 or 16 years later. So we sort of never look back. And I'd say the internet's probably what saved us in terms of why we're here today or how come we're here. We have this warehouse operation in Canton that we started in the last 10 years. And to sort of supplant our warehouse in Philadelphia, because the growth potential there was limited. There's only so many square feet, and we couldn't add a lot of product. And so through a series of good fortune and, having been around a long time, we're tenants with the Draper Knitting Company, or Draper, who they've been around for 162 years. Although they're mostly using synthetic now, although they do use some wool. Mm-hmm. But because of our association, they work with us in terms of finding some space here. And then we've been slowly and deliberately building up our offerings and what we're providing for the craft industry out of here.
Yeah.
Although we sell the textile industry out of here sometimes too. There's a loading dock in the back. It comes in and out. And it's just been it's really been a fortunate sort of turn of events. It's almost as good as starting the internet, finding a space. Especially since it's 10 miles from my house, and the price we're paying is like, we were expecting to try to do something like this, out in an old former mill town, like, Webster or Bedford or Fall River, which is a good hour and a half from our house, or, from our setup. We had to sort of contemplate the whole relocating, but sort of being able to cling to Boston and helped attract her, I would say. So, not having to go off to the end of the world to a dusty, dirty warehouse. So, so we're looking forward to, what's going to happen, what's next, because we've always tried to be pretty innovative in our marketing. When there was a big craze on cashmere and stuff, we were one of the first people to figure out how to bring cashmere in from China. It just goes on and on. Different stories. So it's basically a 82-year story of survival.
Well, it's what we can all relate to. How do you define the handcraft market?
Well, I mean, it's evolving. Certainly if you just say handcraft, that sort of implies that people are doing something with their hands. But, really we've identified what you're talking about. I sort of call it the mini mill movement.
Yeah.
Of people that, they get it. It seems like in general, they're sort of, they're young and idealistic, or they've been around in business doing something else for a while, and they're trying to buy into a country lifestyle, and then they see this, and then the next thing you know, they're buying a mill. I don't know if I'm describing anybody out there, but
a lot of people listening right now.
Yeah. So, but anyways, we just love that. That really is attractive to us, at entrepreneurial spirit, and so part of why we have this warehouse is we started offering a wider variety of products that are maybe more suitable for first stage processing, carding, and some of these small mill develop. It's hard to feed a card. You only have so many sheep, and if you're successful, you're going to run out of wool pretty fast. So we're hopeful that that you're running full steam and looking to add more width to your cards.
Well, that and blending too. Everybody likes that 100%, but then what do I do next? And what do I do to jazz it up or make it better? And I think that's where a lot of the mini mills come in. And we buy a coarse wool from you to add to like second type fibers, coarser fibers that we turn into felt, that we turn into insoles. So it's really a utility product. I don't need the good fine stuff, but then I also buy the good fine merino from you as a blending, that I maybe cut some of my alpaca with, so it's a blend, maybe a 70-30, just to make it a little different, so that we have a different product offering in our thing. And I know a lot of the mills out there that do business with you, and for the ones who don't, a really cool thing with these folks, if you buy a bump, they pay the shipping.
Yeah.
And the shipping's fast in the Northeast, very fast. So
yeah, it's I think it's usually a week to pretty much anywhere in the United States.
I would guess
2 days to Ohio.
Yeah. Here I'm only 1 to 2 days from you guys, and I'm in the lovely town of Wampum, Pennsylvania, which is as small as it sounds. But I'm northwest of Pittsburgh, right on the Ohio.
Oh, okay.
We just sold the end of that scour you've been using, so just so you know.
Okay.
We'll be finding more soon.
We're working on the next batch. Yeah. Although it's been a challenge with this COVID, and because a lot of our sources are, a couple of our sources are wool pools, and of course where they gather, usually in a campus or agricultural school or something, everything's closed in the springtime. So we've had to be a little more
right,
and market it off that way.
Yeah.
And we see people buying pounds of stuff from us and selling it by the ounce for the same price we're selling it to them by the pound. But they're working hard for they're working hard for that money, I can tell you.
Yeah. The repackaging.
As Grace has been learning, because we've let her develop a product or two, and it's been a great lesson for all of us, and in terms of where we're directing our business and what we can expect.
Sliver series, which is predominantly made with wool that we've sourced from New England or the Mid-Atlantic region. You can jump in if I'm.
Keep going. You're doing it.
And then we have a variety of wool top products as well, from a more like a 29.5 micron up to a 19.5 micron. And then we have some. We've just started carrying a very small dyed line of wool top as well. We're sort of wading out into the water of dyed wool.
Because we used to only sell black because it's always in style and it's hard to make.
Yeah. So then in addition to wool, we also have a couple mohair top products, a few silk top products,
Bamboo.
Yeah, we have some plant-based fibers.
Textile handled product, manufactured product to the to the hand consumer or smaller niche consumer level.
Sure.
And there's actually a lot of operations that do other things besides wool, but they might need some wool just for a little while, or small bits.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's in industry that's not necessarily textile. So
Interesting.
we're excited about that in terms of the more recent development.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to see that this whole thing sort of end, so we can start going to shows and seeing people. We don't show at shows.
Yeah.
We like to see you at a show, so then we learn about what people are looking for, or what people are doing with our product, or doing with other people's product, or you learn, and then and sometimes you just make that connection, which is all people see online or this and that, maybe I've lost some sales too the same way. You never know, but you got to go out and see the world, and that's where we see our opportunities to see folks. And we were real disappointed we didn't get
this too. The folks are really just invested in the story. Like, the more you can tell a story about where your product comes from, the more excited folks get about it. So if you can say, this is a sweater that was knit from wool from that sheep Sally over there, and folks love that. So definitely more of a focus on local, like knowing exactly where the wool comes from. When I first started, I was struck by the interest in all the experiencing as many different breeds as possible, and like the different qualities of wool from different breeds. So I was about a year ago I joined the company, and that was my very first lesson, was how important that can be and how exciting that can be to different consumers.
Yeah.
And I mean, the same with the people that are breeding sheep are all crossbreeding and trying to come up with a new thing or this and that. And spinners in particular, it's all about what breed is it.
Yeah. Texture is tough if you're if you're used to handling wool. You can really tell that it's that's not natural.
And that's kind of with almost anything.
And sometimes
other than the COVID thing, what trends have you noticed in the recent years in the fiber crafts industry, and what do you kind of foresee coming?
So I'm sure your networks noticed this too, that folks are really just invested in the story. Like, the more you can tell a story about where your product comes from, the more excited folks get about it. So if you can say, this is a sweater that was knit from wool from that sheep Sally over there, and folks love that. So definitely more of a focus on local, like knowing exactly where the wool comes from. When I first started, I was struck by the interest in all the experiencing as many different breeds as possible, and like the different qualities of wool from different breeds. So I was about a year ago I joined the company, and that was my very first lesson, was how important that can be and how exciting that can be to different consumers.
Yeah.
And I mean, the same with the people that are breeding sheep are all crossbreeding and trying to come up with a new thing or this and that. And spinners in particular, it's all about what breed is it.
Yeah.
Right? And it's, you hear that so often, and which is sort of ironic, because once a lot of the product gets into the form that we're ready to sell it to you, it'd be just about impossible to tell what breed it was. Outside of, chances are it's this, because it's such a micron, and these kind of sheep do that, right? Or if it's fine, it's obviously Merino, and if it's Rambouillet or something else, it's some cousin or offshoot of Merino. So it's just I'm sort of amused. It's hard to almost take it seriously, but we've actually adjusted ourselves to try to play to that. You know, certainly we've been making carded sliver for a while and sourcing it from New England, and, you know, just buying it at the door, or at times just buying it at wool pools or through a local warehouse sometimes even. But yeah.
The more about the origin story there is, the more folks are excited about it. And I think that the pandemic is really probably going to even make folks even more interested about buying local, like contribute. Like, I think we're all thinking differently about how we're contributing to the economy and how we're contributing to the American economy as much as the global economy. I mean, I think the other trend with the pandemic is a lot of folks like getting back to their roots. Like, you know, everyone's growing a garden now, and like you couldn't buy yeast for a month up here. I know, after everything shut down, everyone's baking.
Gave me a loaf of bread.
Right. So I think I ultimately think that trend will continue, and it's good for the wool industry as people want to be making things with their hands.
Well, certainly at your level, you know, at this niche level that we're serving.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, I always say that some of these, you know, when I was talking about sort of the narrative of where a lot of mini mill folks come from, and of course everyone's got.
I acquired it locally, and I do think that's going to be an ongoing trend. You know, hopefully it's kind of resurrected things. And then, you know, back to your products, I saw that you're dabbling in dyed wool top. Is that something that's going to stay, or is that just a?
I would say
there's going to be dyed wool in some form here.
For quite some time.
There's the you know, we've been looking at the market for a long time, and then, you know, with Grace coming on, we have more time to sort of study it and try to figure out some stuff. So, you know, we found a really affordable source. So I mean, if you looked at our price, I think it's fairly affordable for dyed wool.
Oh yeah.
But earlier this year, another wholesale operation that was selling carded sliver and this and that called up and basically gave us their business in terms of what's going on, and they do have a whole dyed series, but it's stuck in a storage unit in the Mid-Atlantic somewhere, and we're waiting for somebody to return with the key so we can, so we can organize to get the 105 boxes of inventory out of there, so we can
figure it out.
Which will probably be a dyed, I think it's a coarse New Zealand wool type product. So we'll have that for a while. Well, we know how to replace it. We got a lot of the ingredients to replace it. We know who was making it. We know the dye house it was going to. We know the mill that was processing it for our friend. So if that succeeds the way, if that succeeds, we could just sort of build on that.
Yeah.
But we've made a commitment to these tops, these 29.5 micron straight color top, and it's beautiful quality, wonderful wool at a really affordable price. And, we're sort of torn to how much to invest more in that. And then somebody else, a local textile mill, had approached us and offered to do mini batches of stuff just recently. So now we have to figure out, or just how people react. That really what keeps us going, because it certainly isn't the money we're making. No, but I think it's the excitement and the potential that has us so excited about where we are today. And, it's sort of a long-term vision anyways, sort of rebuilding the craft industry, on my part.
Yeah.
Because, professionally, I took another job for, and still do work part-time elsewhere, just to be able to support my wool habit.
I think there's a lot of us who can relate to that statement too.
Yeah, so there we go. So we're in it with everybody else. Let's put it that way. And any way we can help people or use our experience and knowledge and Grace proud of me to make sure I remember. As long as we can, team up on stuff, we're more than happy to be able to help people.
So if somebody, has a mini mill and they don't know who you are, what would you tell them is your best fit for them?
Well, I mean, I think just as far as the wool industry goes, Phil's probably knows as much as anybody else. So I think just like generally on like what kind of products you're going to be able to make with what kind of raw materials, that sort of thing. And then I think, as I mentioned earlier, if there's a need for a particular material that we don't have, that doesn't mean we don't have access to it. So I think our network and our knowledge in the industry is really what really the best that we got. Sure, our website is rhlindsaywool.com, and that's Lindsay is spelled with an A, not an E. Or if you Google RH Lindsay
you Google
wool,
it and you misspell it, it still comes up. So.
Yeah.
That's the Scottish version, not the Northern Irish.
Our Google Analytics tell us that people find us by Googling RH Lindsay with an E too. So.
Yeah.
And we will probably be running, so I think this will run on Saturday, August 30th or 29th. And we should be running an end of summer sale soon after that. So be on the lookout for that. Anyone who wants to try us out, we'll have some kind of coupon soon. And we're on Facebook and Instagram, so please find us there too. RHL Wool.
Yeah, and we can even put stuff together for people too. If you have some product that you can't get processed somewhere, we might be able to piggyback it with people, or especially at the mill level. Your level of people who have some bigger ideas.
Yeah.
That or be able to handle commercial quantity. I think that's where we might be able to help a few of you folks that haven't tried to check with us. So
once we come out of the other side of this and figure out a date for a live version, we will have you there in person as well.
Oh, we can't wait.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, and everybody listening. We're signing off for the American Artisan Fiber Mill Network, and make sure you check out RH Lindsay Wool for a special sale after the fact.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
We welcome your comments and insights for future content in the comments down below. For those who are interested in learning more about our organization, please visit artisanfibermillnetwork.com/membership. That's artisanfibermillnetwork.com/membership.